Hey, VC, it's Greeno. Time for another update. This one will have a little bit of a mixed bag, I guess. But tons of metal at the end, so kind of do the non-metal stuff here at the beginning. And let's jump into it. Show some movies real quick. Just a few. Been watching a lot of movies lately. We got a new puppy, so don't really bring her down here into the music room yet. Trying to get her chilled out, trained. So I spent a lot of time, just upstairs with her and watching movies. So jump into it. Super excited to get this. Come out last year, and it actually had a limited run in American theaters, but I didn't. And it showed not very far from where I live, but I didn't get a chance to go see. It was like one day only. But anyways, finally come out in America on Blu-ray, and that's Shin Godzilla. Basically, in Japan, they have rebooted the Godzilla series, which they did, in the 90s through the early 2000s, and now they're doing it again. And this is pretty good. I mean, it's a Japanese Godzilla movie, but the effects are very good. The Godzilla monsters is killer. The look of it, and like the scene where he's in Tokyo, and the first time he breathes, fire, is just crazy, man. Very cool movie. If you're a Godzilla fan, definitely want to check it out. Which caused me, skip that one right now. I'll get to that in a second. But we also picked up Kong Skull Island. I thought this was great. Kind of a new take on King Kong. It all takes place on the island instead of coming to New York and all that. But they're kind of, after this one, the next one is supposedly King Kong versus Godzilla. Which, super excited for that. But, the effects in this is crazy. Kong looks fantastic, man. Looks totally freaking real. But watching this and Shin Godzilla made me go back and pull out the U.S. Godzilla. It just came out, in 2014. And they're definitely setting it up because, like, the group, basically a group of government monster hunters called Monarch, is in both of these. And the Godzilla has extras about Monarch, and are basically secret files, secret videos that the government has made about Monarch, and it's pretty crazy. And it looks real, and it carries over to Skull Island, and I guess hopefully just keep carrying over to King Kong versus Godzilla, which I think is a couple years away. And then just watching some old favorites. Hadn't seen this in a while. The original Mummy from 1932 or whatever. It's a fantastic movie. And this is one of those glow-in-the-dark ones they put out last year. And I just grabbed it, man, because I didn't have it on Blu-ray. It looks fantastic on Blu-ray. Same with The Invisible Man from the next year, I think, 1933. Both look great, and I hadn't watched either one for a while, so it was kind of cool to watch them again. I grabbed this 2-in-1. This is an Amicus movie and a Hammer movie, if I remember correctly. The Man Who Could Cheat Death and The Skull. Christopher Lee in both, and Cushing and Lee in The Skull. Skull's a great movie. These were 60s. One may be from the late 50s. Yeah. The Man Who Could Cheat Death was from like 59, but basically they're 1960s movies. Great stuff. I love this, whatever you want to call it, cheesy old horror movies. And pick up Blu-ray of Earth versus the Flying Saucers. Classic sci-fi 50s Atomic Age sci-fi. This has the original black and white and a colorized version, which I haven't watched a colorized version. Doubt if I do. There's nothing wrong with black and white, and this stuff, yeah, 50s black and white sci-fi. Leave it alone. Don't need to colorize it. I grabbed this, another Amicus movie, The House That Dripped Blood. This is from 1970. And this is one of those anthology kind of movies. If I remember right, there's 4 different stories in here. And Cushing's in it in one, and Christopher Lee's in one. Really cool movie. Definitely looks more like a 60s movie than, you know, moving into the 70s. But there's a great story in there about a guy, an actor who plays a vampire, and these female vampires really like him and basically try to trick him into, you know, letting them bite him and become a real vampire. It's pretty good. And what I was super happy to get, I saw this years ago on AMC when AMC was still a good station and actually showed old movies. And back in the 90s probably. And I think I taped it one time on VHS, but those are gone now. But finally picked it up on DVD. And it's Curse of the Demon. And this is a 2-on-1 with Curse of the Demon and Night of the Demon, which is the same movie. It's a British movie, so over there it was called Night of the Demon, and it was actually like 10 minutes longer or something. So this has both versions, but this is a killer movie, man. It's a classic black and white horror movie. Pretty creepy. Good stuff. And that's it for the movies. Like I say, I just thought I'd show those. Been watching a lot more than those, but I thought those were kind of the more interesting ones I've watched lately. So let's jump into the vinyl here real quick. Alright, first up, let's get the non-metal stuff out of the way, and it's a very small stack, maybe 5, maybe 6 records here. I've actually been kind of chilling out on, you know, buying records, and have started weeding some stuff out. I probably pulled out like 70 albums I'm going to get rid of. Some stuff out of the actual collection, some doubles, that kind of thing. And then some stuff that was just in the just-in piles or whatever, in boxes that I haven't spun yet, or, you know, hadn't made it into the real collection, whatever you want to say. But going through those boxes, I've come across some pretty cool stuff, and deciding if I want to get rid of it or not. You know, spinning it. Some stuff like, yeah, I'm definitely keeping that. Some stuff like, yeah, I don't need to. And there's stuff I'm not keeping. I've been jumping on Discogs just to see, you know, what the prices are, because I haven't kept up. And it's pretty crazy, you know, stuff. You know, average sale price $4.98. Like, wow, I thought this would go for a little bit more, maybe $10 or something. And then a couple albums were like, holy crap. Yeah, that I picked up for $4.98 or less, probably $1 or $2, are now like crazy prices. But anyways, there's a couple in here. I thought I'd just kind of show them, and I'm pretty sure you wouldn't expect to see this one on my channel, because I am definitely 100% not a rap fan. I don't get it, never did. Some of the stuff from the 80s, you know, Run DMC, I thought was very cool. And this band I thought was very cool, and this is the only album I've ever heard. Yeah, it wasn't enough for me to check out more, if they even had more, I don't know. But I found this years ago. When I say years ago, probably 5-6 years ago. And I know I paid $1 or $2 for it. But it's NWA, straight out of Compton. And this is an original pressing, and it's pretty minty. In killer shape. So, yeah, pulled it up on Discogs. I thought, man, I bet this thing goes for $20 or something like that. No, it's over $100. I had no idea. Like I said, I've had it for a while, sitting in that in those boxes. So it was kind of cool. I'll hang on to that for sure. Like I said, yeah, nothing against anybody that does like rap. It's just not for me. Like just like classical music kind of isn't for me, you know. But some stuff is squeaked through, and that's one of those albums. I dug that album. Another one, never even heard of this band. Like I said, I was going through the boxes, pulled it out, and everything I was going to get rid of, I was looked this band up, and same deal, goes for over $100 now, or around 100, something like that. It's Heart Attack, Keep Your Distance. Like I said, I've never seen this, never heard anything about it, but evidently it's a pretty rare New York hardcore album from '83, early on with New York hardcore, evidently. And like I said, it's like $75, $100, something like that. Not that it's about the money, but it's just like, it's cool to find stuff like that where I know it's got a $3 price tag on it, and I probably paid that or less. I think I know the store that price tag is from. It's just a generic one, and usually he cuts me deals. But anyways, what's even funnier, there's a 50-cent price tag on there. At some point, somebody paid 50 cents for it. That's kind of why I like leaving price tags on them. They don't bother me. You can kind of look back and say, holy crap, you know, somebody scored this. Either I scored it for that price, somebody else did. But anyways, this is still in the shrink and everything. And it's just a EP. I think it's 4 or 5 songs. There's nothing on the back here. Looks like it's 6 tracks. And actually it's pretty good. You know, it's just early hardcore. So I'll definitely hang on to that, throw it into the punk collection. And it looks like there was only like 1,000 printed, I think. It came with an insert, just like the punk albums kind of did, you know, just a sheet of paper with some stuff on it. But it's missing out of this one. But no big deal for me. Just a couple more non-punk. I got 999, Concrete. And these guys were a UK, is that right? Yeah. Punk band from the 70s. It continued on into the 80s. Pretty cool band. And they definitely changed. They went along. I mean, this isn't full-on punk or anything like that. It's pretty cool. The Pazant Brothers, Skunk Juice, Dirty Funk from the Big Apple. This is a reissue of an old funk album that I picked up cheap. Looked interesting. I was ordering some other stuff, so I went ahead and grabbed this. Definitely cool, yeah. 70s funk. It might even been late 60s. Can't remember. Anyway, it's on that BGP reissue. But cool stuff. And that's something, you know, you guys have seen in my videos. I'm dipping my toe into a little bit of soul and funk and that kind of stuff. And then a reissue of Ramones Mania. What can you say about this other than this is the greatest hits album ever released from the greatest American rock and roll band ever. Maybe the greatest rock and roll band from Earth ever. I do dig the Ramones. And it's kind of weird. I'm not a uber collector. I'm not out, you know, trying to collect every little bit of the Ramones I can. But hands down, they are, you know, if I had to get rid of every album I had except for the discography of one band, it would be the Ramones I would keep. They're that good to me. So, let's move on to the metal, finally. Okay, here we go. Finally getting into the metal vinyl. So, like I said, I haven't been ordering a lot, but when I do order, it's been kind of really concentrated on some killer reissues out right now. And so I've definitely got some cool stuff in, just not getting as much and actually, you know, concentrating on all these crazy reissues going on right now. But anyways, jump into it, and right off the bat, a new one. Not a reissue. Brand new from Stallion, From the Dead. And by the way, these first few I just got in, not spun at all. And actually I'm going to be spinning this one today. Been looking forward to this one. German, new wave traditional heavy metal. This is their second full length, and they had the EP come out first. This is on High Roller. And like I say, I haven't heard anything off this yet. I just, dig the band and definitely wanted to pick it up. So I'll be checking that out soon. And some reissues. Also, Noise Records reissued these. And also High Roller, right before Noise reissued them. And the High Rollers are actually, believe it or not, cheaper than the Noise reissues. But anyways, Destruction, Cracked Brain. And I'm just kind of filling some holes in the Destruction collection. And I'm pretty sure I've never heard this one, so kind of excited to spin this. And then some New Wave British Heavy Metal reissue, Rising, Inside the Universe. And I think these dudes kind of just are one of those that just had a single, or maybe just a demo. And that's basically what this is. And this is on Cult Metal Classics, who's just killing it lately, putting out some freaking awesome reissues. It comes with a nice insert, or inner sleeve. But and this one I've spun once and dug it. Very, very cool. Next is Mother's Ruin, Road to Ruin. And this is also a Cult Metal Classic reissue. This one was a bit of a letdown, and it's that, you know, it's geared toward that new wave of British heavy metal scene, sound, whatever. And there's a couple tracks on here. I haven't dug into the band, but there's a couple tracks on here that definitely have that new wave of British heavy metal sound. But I'm guessing that those tracks may have been the single or whatever they put out, because that's kind of it. The rest of the album is just almost soft rock or something. This was a letdown, and I would say kind of a void, unfortunately. But I mean, I definitely, if I had to do it over, I wouldn't have grabbed this one. And I pulled this in from overseas. So, but you know, it's a Cult Metal Classic release, so that's cool. Don't mind having it in the collection, but will it get spun again? Kind of doubt it. So, and I think those Cult Metal Classics, man, they're only pressing like 300 of them total or something. It's a very small number. So if you're interested in any of those, when you see them, you better jump. I don't think they'll be around long. Actually, all these I have spun a little bit of. Maybe there's a couple other ones. I got another stack to grab, but anyways. Next, band out of Jersey, Tantrum, Trenton City Murders, another Cult Metal Classic reissue. And they basically, back in the late 80s, I believe it was, mid to late 80s, they, 85, they put out an EP, which was just like a black DJ sleeve kind of cover that said Tantrum on it, a sticker if I remember right, and that was it. And that's all they put out. So this collects that, and then some other stuff, some live show stuff, which if I remember right, I think it's this one, isn't the greatest, which kind of tends to be on all these. Yeah, the original releases are always the best. Every once in a while they'll find some more studio recordings, but you know, usually they'll put on some, you know, rehearsal recordings or live stuff, and that stuff's pretty harsh. But it's cool to have, I guess. Anyways, I got off on a tangent there. This is really cool, like a U.S. power metal kind of thing. Just obscure 80s metal. Not a big fan of the cover. It just looks like some kind of modern I almost skipped over it actually looking on a list because it looks just like some kind of modern metal band. It's just a bad computer cover, if you ask me, computer generated cover. But either way, the music's great from the EP on here. And again, that's on Cult Metal Classic. Wow, this is like 2 years in the waiting, something like that. I initially got this album on cassette. I bought 2 cassettes, new cassettes, in the last, like, well, been over the last 4 years or so. But in the last 30 years, I've probably bought these 2 brand new cassettes. I never bought cassettes anyway. But it was the only way I thought I'd be able to get these, or get this album. And both those cassettes were Iron Spell, this band, this album, and the album before. But finally, it came out on vinyl. And honestly, it was like 2 years waiting on this to come out. Very cool band. Kind of a mix of old school metal and more modern, you know, UK power metal, I guess, something like that. I don't know. They're not full on new wave traditional heavy metal, but you know, they do have that old school sound to them. Especially on this one. The first album was a little more old school. This has a little more modern sound to it. But anyways, this is on Eat Metal. And I think this was very limited too. And super happy to actually get it. I didn't think it was ever coming out. It's been out on cassette and CD forever. But they finally got it out on vinyl. And last up, I finally grabbed the Ivory Dagger record, Metal Mountain. And this is fantastic. Crap. I can't try to remember where they were from. But 80s obscure metal, whatever you want to say, underground metal. And I think it was talking to Aaron, Metal Theologian, about this, and he's like, I don't understand why. I think it was Aaron was saying this, that this doesn't get talked about a little bit more, because this is fantastic. This is, and I agree with him. This is, you know, should be talked about a little bit more when talking about the old obscure stuff. And I think I've seen a couple other people show this. Maybe Metal War God, I can't remember. Or Scott Waters. But very much worth checking out. Alright, let me grab another stack. Okay, I got another stack here. Most of this is stuff that I've just spun, pulled out. But there are a couple new things in here. So let's kind of jump into it. I had this for a while, but just got around to spinning it. Blood Money, Battle Scarred. And this is a reissue on Mega Force. Heavy Forces. I don't know why I said Mega Force. But this album originally came out on Agony Records, which, you know, I collect if you watch the videos and all that. But I wanted to grab the reissue. Very nicely done. Very cool English metal. Yeah, from mid-80s. Never heard that. Definitely check it out. Kind of run through these a little quicker. Try to speed it up here so this thing isn't 2 hours long. Next, pulled this out to spin. Had it when they just reissued it not long ago. It's S.A. Slayer. I guess on here, just Slayer on the original EP. And this is a High Roller reissue. These guys were out of Texas. Same time as Slayer out of L.A. And they added S.A. to the name, which is San Antonio Slayer, I guess. But wow, killer early U.S. power metal, I guess you want to say. Just fantastic. Would love to have an original of that, but a little pricey. I spun some Wasp inside the Electric Circus. Hadn't heard this forever. It's classic. What, the first 3 Wasp albums definitely rule. Every once in a while, I've talked about collecting Metal Shop, which was a syndicated radio show in the 80s. Started like 83, somewhere around there, if I remember correctly, and ran close to 10 years or a little more. But especially those early shows up through, 87, 88. Those are great. Once they got into the 90s, you were getting Soundgarden and Nirvana played on there and everything. But, like I was saying, I've mentioned before, I collect those when I can find them on vinyl. And I used to find them really cheap, and I got a bunch of them. But now they're pricey, so I don't pick them up very often. But every once in a while I'll pull one out and play it. And they just come in the DJ sleeves. They were, back in the day, a radio station, if they played a syndicated radio show, went across the country, that show would be sent to them on vinyl, and they just play it whenever they want to play it. Now I'm sure it's all digital and just, they hook up to a feed or they download something. But back when times were good, they would get all this stuff on vinyl. Probably everybody knows this. But anyways, this is, what episode is this? This is number 178 from 1987, June 6, 1987. And there was like some, I don't want to pull the cue sheet out, but there was Priest on here, and just what was going on in 87. Whitesnake for sure, and some Grim Reaper. So that's what was cool about this show, because they would play all the popular stuff that was all over the radio and MTV, but then they would play new metal, something that was just up and coming. And I think Grim Reaper got back together for the 3rd album around this time, and they were talking to them about that, and played some tracks, some Grim Reaper tracks, and it's kind of cool. I used to love that show. I used to tape it on cassette and all that, and I went nuts when I started finding them on eBay, when I first got on eBay in the late 90s, picking them up like crazy. Next, Force, Set Me Free, and the best thing about this album is the cover. This wasn't very good, I didn't think. It's on Heavy Metal Records. It looks like it would be like a thrash album or whatever, and it's totally not. It's barely a metal album, if even a metal album, I thought. And this was one I had around for a while and finally spun. They're in the collection, but I doubt it ever gets spun again. Next is Speedy, Much Too Young to Rock and Roll. And this is like a Korean press. I can't remember where these dudes were from. And again, it looks all cool 80s, early mid 80s metal, and it's just pretty much hard rock, if that at times. But cool cover. Then the vinyl. God, I can't remember where these dudes were from. I think they were from England, but I may be wrong. But this is a Korean pressing on vinyl. HGB, The Past is Alive. This just kind of popped up, and I know nothing about this band, and I've only spun a little bit of this. But supposedly new wave of British heavy metal connections, and other than just kind of showing it here and talking about it, I can't go into depth, because like I said, this is this is actually one of the newer ones, and I haven't really looked into it yet. But what I remember of it was pretty cool. It wasn't solid all the way through, but there was some cool stuff on there for sure. And that's making its rounds right now, so, and it looks like it's limited to 300. So if you want one, or you want to check it out and you end up wanting one, you might want to jump quick. Next, Starstruck, Through to You. This is on Mausoleum. Just kind of that Mausoleum working class metal, hard rock metal. Great cover though. Is this the one with Rock Salad, Rock Solid? If nothing else, you remember that song from this album. It's freaking hilarious. Just for that title, Rock Salad, Rock Solid. Okay. Next, Crown, We Need You. I can't remember where these dudes were from. Switzerland, I believe. And again, more of that just kind of hard rock kind of stuff. And this was, I think this was early 80s. Yeah, 1981. This is early on. Definitely not, anything full of metal or anything like that. It's more that hard rock. Yeah, leaning towards getting into the metal. Alright, next is Saigon, One Must Die. Killer cover on that one. And these guys were from Sweden. This came out in 85. And what's cool is it's on Criminal Response. You can see here at the bottom. Which was an offshoot of Ebony Records. And they only put out like 7, 8 albums on Criminal Response. And this being one of them. I think this was the last one, if I remember correctly. Let's see what we have here. If I can find a number on it. This is the 5th release. Here's the inner ring. And maybe it was only 5. I was thinking this was the last thing that was released on that label. I may be wrong though. But definitely cool. At mid-80s metal, wouldn't call it new wave of British heavy metal, kind of. It's more metal, than the hard rock metal of new wave of British heavy metal. Next, band out of Canada, Dagger, no, Not Afraid of the Night. And this is on the commercial melodic side of metal. But really dug this. This was fantastic. Total, it's that total cheese. But, I mean, these dudes were going for that, whatever. We want to be docking. We want to be on MTV. It's on Viper. This is a Canadian label. But that popped up online. I had to grab it. Very cool. Next, Demonax. And again, I don't know much about this one. I've had this for a long time. Pulled it out to spin again. For some reason, I'm thinking these guys were Texas. Is that right? It was a reissue on OPM Records. And it's basically, I don't know if they had anything official come out or not. Or officially released or not. But, again, cool metal. Red vinyl. I just pulled this out to spin. Kiss, Creatures of the Night. Everybody knows this album. This is with the different album cover. With Kulik instead of Ace. but it was actually Vinny. So, I don't know. I just saw Corey show this. He got a copy also. And this Mibber sent around an email with the heads up, which was very cool of him. But I'd actually known about this and was super excited to get it on vinyl. Picked it up on a reissue on CD not long ago, and it blew me away. And I saw the vinyl was coming out. I was like, hell yeah. And that's Ironhawk to the point. And this is fantastic new wave British heavy metal. And like Corey said, it's a shame. Yeah, this is it. That this band didn't have more, didn't release more. Again, on Cult Metal Classics. So not many out there, but I think Corey got clear, or I got the black. Luckily. But like I said, heard that was coming out, and like, hell yeah, all over that. Another one of the High Roller reissues, Destruction, released from Agony. Awesome cover. But these sound great. I'm sure the Noise reissues sound great. And last up is V2. And this is really freaking good. I totally dug this. Guys out, the band's out of Germany. I can't remember the year on this. Mid-80s. 88. And it's kind of a mix of the metal stuff and the melodic stuff. But a very, very good mix. I really dug this, man. And I need to check in to this band a little bit more. See what else is available. And is this on Noise? Yeah. This is on Noise. Speaking of Noise. With their great inners that have all the album covers on it. But just a really good metal band. Really, really good. I dug the hell out of this album. So I think that's it for now. I spun a bunch of singles, 12-inch singles, but I'll show you those next time or something. Excuse me. I have a couple things on order coming in, just like maybe 2 albums. To be honest, I cut way back. I'm not watching as much, as many VC videos as I used to. Like I said, we got a new puppy, and a lot of my time is going into that. But that's not the only reason. It's just like I've cut back, and I don't know. I'm in a weird headspace right now with new stuff. Well, for example, I have the last Anthrax album to come out. I have the last Overkill before the one that's out now. Was it White Devil Armory? I have the last Accept before the one's coming out like last week, I think, or this week. And I haven't spun any of those. And the reason is, with all these new albums, and all these bands are great, and they've all, the last 6 years or so, got back into releasing stuff again, got members back, and it started out cool, but like everything's the same coming from those bands. And a lot of it for me is just this whole digital world we live in, where these guys are basically recording albums in somebody's house onto a computer, and sending it somewhere else to wherever the singer's at so he can do his part and send it back and blah, blah, blah. And I know that's the world we live in now, and, like it or lump it, so I lump it, and I'm just passing on stuff. I haven't got the New Testament, the latest Testament. I won't be getting the new Accept. I won't be getting the last Overkill. It all just sounds the same to me now. and it's kind of sad to me. But even the old bands, you know, same reason I don't keep up with most new metal bands is I just don't like the sound, the digital sound, you know. Even when it's being put on the vinyl, it's still that digital recording just being put on the vinyl. So I'm into this headspace of just, you know, looking for old albums again. And these reissues are fantastic. And I'm sure there's some digital involved in there somehow. But originally it was recorded on analog. And I think that's what kind of saves it for me. But it's just sad to say that I'm burnt out, man, on, you know, like I said, the New Testament and Overkill. And I just saw George put up a review of the new Accept, and he loves it. And I'm like, maybe I should get it. But then I'm like, nah, I haven't even listened to the last one because I'm just fried. The whole digital thing, to me, has ruined it. And it just sucks. And I guess I'm ranting now. But I don't know. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. But I'm just to the point I can't take it. And that's why I've slowed down on buying new stuff. So, anyways, not to end on a bummer. But, like I said, I've spun a lot of 12-inch singles, and I got probably a stack about like that. Hopefully show in the next video. So, hope everybody's doing well, and thanks for everybody watching, and sorry to be bitching there at the end, but just kind of let everybody know where I'm at. So, screw the digital age. Later, YouTube.